Level 1, the applicant. You don't have military experience, and you definitely don't look like a soldier. You are 22, running on energy drinks and 3 hours of sleep, living in a dark room glowing with monitors. You apply online like everyone else, filling out a form on the CIA website. Months later, you are flown to Virginia on your own dime, walking into a drab government building with fluorescent lights and bad coffee. A man in a gray suit interviews you for hours, looking for patterns and lies. Then comes the polygraph. They strap sensors to your chest, fingers, and arm to monitor your heart rate. The technician asks if you have ever committed a crime you weren't caught for. You sweat because you have spent your teenage years illegally hacking corporate databases and pirating software. You stutter, but you tell the truth. You pass, not because you are a Boy Scout, but because they desperately need your brain. Welcome to the digital front lines. Level 2, the digital trainee. They send you to Camp Peary, Virginia, the farm, but your experience is entirely different from the paramilitary operators. While they are out in the woods shooting rifles and learning hand-to-hand combat, you are in a highly classified, windowless server room. You are learning a modern, terrifying evolution of intelligence tradecraft. Instead of learning how to use dead drops in public parks, you learn how to craft untraceable, zero-day exploits. Instead of picking physical locks on embassy doors, you learn how to silently bypass the most advanced encryption on the planet. Your instructors drill into you that a single line of perfectly executed code can do more damage to an enemy nation than a battalion of Marines. The washout rate is brutal, but you survive because you can think in architecture and logic. Level 3, the access broker. Your first real assignment at Langley is getting the agency inside the door. You are an access broker. You target the same foreign government officials the traditional spies do, but you never actually meet them. You study a mid-level bureaucrat in a hostile foreign ministry. You learn his habits, his hobbies, and his vulnerabilities. You don't approach him at a casino. Instead, you craft a highly targeted, perfectly forged spear-phishing email pretending to be his daughter's school or his bank. He clicks the link. In a fraction of a second, your malware silently installs itself on his hard drive, and you now have complete, undetected access to a classified foreign government network. You just recruited an asset, and the asset doesn't even know he's working for you. Level 4, the network navigator. You move deeper into the enemy's digital infrastructure. You become the ghost inside the machine. You spend 12 hours a day mapping out the internal networks of hostile military bases and foreign intelligence agencies. The surveillance is incredibly intimate. You activate the webcams on foreign generals' laptops and watch them sit in their living rooms. You read their private text messages to their mistresses. You listen to the audio captured by the microphones on their smartphones. You know absolutely everyone's darkest secrets, but you can tell no one. You begin to feel a strange, godlike detachment from humanity. You are invisible, untouchable, pulling the invisible strings of the world from a comfortable, ergonomic chair in Virginia. On level 5, the forward deployed operator. Not every network is connected to the internet. The most secure systems in the world, nuclear facilities, advanced weapons labs, are air-gapped, meaning they are physically disconnected from the outside world. To hack them, you have to leave your basement. You are given diplomatic cover and sent to a hostile country. You meet with covert CIA officers in the field. Your job is to physically bridge the air gap. You might disguise a piece of highly sophisticated malware as a standard USB thumb drive and manipulate a local asset into plugging it into a secure terminal. Suddenly, the danger isn't virtual anymore. If the local counterintelligence service catches you outside the embassy, you won't get a polite digital ban. You will be thrown into a terrifying foreign prison. Level 6, the payload engineer. You return to Langley and transition from espionage to active warfare. You become a payload engineer. You aren't just stealing data anymore. You are building digital bombs. You write custom, highly classified malware that costs American taxpayers millions of dollars to develop. These weapons are designed to lay dormant in enemy networks for years, waiting for a single encrypted signal from your desk to wake up. You realize that you are an armor for a new kind of war, building weapons that don't leave craters but can completely paralyze an entire nation's infrastructure in a matter of seconds. Level 7, the SCADA saboteur. This is where the profound psychological disconnect sets in. You are assigned to attack industrial control systems, SCADA. The agency wants to cripple a rogue nation's nuclear program. You write a code that specifically targets the spinning centrifuges enriching uranium. You press the enter key on your keyboard in Virginia. Thousands of miles away, massive steel machines spin out of control until they violently shatter themselves into pieces, besetting the enemy's nuclear program back by a decade. Later, you are tasked with shutting down the power grid of a hostile city during a winter freeze to cause civil unrest. You type a command, and millions of people go into the dark. You feel absolutely no recoil. There is no blood on your hands, just the soft click of a mechanical keyboard. You have to actively force yourself to remember that your code is destroying real human lives. Level 8, the Kinetic targeter. You are assigned to support the lethal drone program. You use zero-day exploits to infect the burner phones of high-value terrorist targets across the Middle East. You turn their cell phones into highly accurate, real-time homing beacons. You sit in your windowless room and pass the exact Jeep's coordinates to the paramilitary officers operating the drones. You watch the live satellite feed on your monitor as a Hellfire missile turns the compound into a smoking crater. Sometimes the intelligence is good and bad people die. Sometimes your geolocation data bounces off the wrong cell tower. The intelligence is wrong and innocent people die. You close out the window on your computer screen, desperately trying to compartmentalize the fact that a line of code you wrote just killed a family. You have another mission tomorrow. Level 9, the Cyber Counterintelligence Analyst. You are pulled off offensive operations to play defense. You realize the United States isn't the only country with elite hackers. You spend your days hunting the Chinese MSS, the Russian FSB, and North Korean state-sponsored hackers who are silently crawling through the U.S. government's networks. It is a terrifying, high-stakes game of digital cat and mouse. You find foreign malware buried deep inside the systems that control American water treatment plants and electrical grids. You realize how incredibly fragile your own country is. The paranoia begins to consume you. You start to view every digital device, every smart TV, and every router as a loaded gun pointed directly at your head. Level 10, the zero-day hoarder. You rise to senior management and become the keeper of the agency's digital arsenal. When major tech companies accidentally create massive security vulnerabilities in their operating systems, you don't warn them. You secretly hoard these zero-day exploits, weaponizing them for the intelligence community. You are deliberately leaving the entire global internet vulnerable just so the CIA has a backdoor into enemy networks. You constantly live with the sickening fear that if your highly classified server is ever breached by a foreign power, the weapons you built will be turned against the American public. You are sitting on a digital nuclear stockpile, praying the vault door holds. Level 11, the Division Director. You are promoted to the highest executive levels of the cyber division. You manage hundreds of hackers and oversee billions of dollars in black budget funding that officially doesn't exist. You brief the president in the Situation Room, recommending devastating cyber strikes against foreign adversaries. You authorize operations that would undeniably be considered acts of war if anyone could definitively prove you did them. When congressional committees ask probing questions about your division's activities, you give answers that are technically true, but carefully incomplete. You provide the politicians with the plausible deniability they desperately crave. You are the general of an invisible army running a machine that thrives on secrets and data. Level 12, the leak scapegoat. The absolute worst case scenario happens. A rogue contractor or a foreign intelligence breach leaks your division's most advanced, highly classified hacking tools onto the dark web. The weapons you built are now in the hands of global cyber criminals and hostile states. Ransomware gangs use your exact code to lock down American hospitals, causing real-world deaths. You sit in emergency crisis meetings, watching the horrifying realization dawn on everyone in the room. The agency has completely lost control. You built a monster and someone else is running it now. You are forced to testify in closed sessions, watching the agency shift the blame to protect the administration. You realize the devastating, uncontrollable nature of digital warfare. Level 13, the paranoid retiree. You retire after 30 years of fighting in the shadows. They give you a medal in a closed room that you can never display. You move to a quiet house in the country, but you are completely, incurably paranoid. You know exactly how easy it is to destroy a life with a few keystrokes. You refuse to own a smartphone. You physically remove the microphones from your laptops. You tape over every camera. But you don't use smart thermostats or internet-connected cars. Your family thinks you are losing your mind, but they don't know what you know. They haven't seen the digital blood. You have millions in your pension, but you are a ghost in the modern world, entirely isolated by your own terrifying knowledge. You know that somewhere in a dark room, a 22-year-old kid is pressing a key, completely unaware of the horrifying chain reaction they just started. The cycle begins again.